I did not go to the bishop personally to confess my sins. The person that I had been involved with decided that they needed to go and talk to the bishop. And it was that week. I didn't even know that that person had gone and talked to the bishop. I got a letter in the mail that week that said, you will come to your, I can't remember.
Church court.
Church court. You'll come to the
court of love.
Yeah, court of love. And I was just devastated. I thought, oh my gosh, what is this? I didn't know what to do. I couldn't talk to my family because they didn't know. So they set up the appointments that she and I were right after each other. So she went first, and then I went in second. So when I went in, she was coming out. Kind
of like a prisoner's dilemma, where neither of you knew what the other said.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I went in, and there was a room full of men. There was about 7 or 8 of the men in the ward. The interesting thing about it was that it was the branch. It was a deaf branch. So, and that was in Provo. And so they were all deaf, and we were all signing. And I remember walking in and sitting there in front of all these men with no one, not one person by my side. There wasn't another female. There wasn't any support. And these men were asking me questions. For example, where did you have sex? Did you do it with your clothes on or off? What did you think about right before you had sex? Questions like that. And the only thing that I was proud of myself during that court was when the one man asked me that question, I looked at him and I said, well, right before you have sex with your wife, what do you think about? And then they said, oh, okay, so it's the same? And so it was more of I think it was curiosity for those men to learn about how women have sex together.
How did it feel?
It was awful.
Why?
I'd never had anyone talk to me, as a woman especially, sexually, ask me questions like that. What were your positions? What were you wearing? I felt like I was, I never drank, I never smoked, I never looked at pornography or anything, but when I left that church court, I felt like I was a slut.
So not a good experience.
No, it was awful. And then, after I left, the person that had also been in the church court, she waited for me. And so we left together. We had driven together. And we went home together. And we decided that that was it. We wanted to be active in the church, and so we tried very hard.
You tried again?
Mm-hmm. Tried again. In fact, I moved to Salt Lake, went to a ward in Salt Lake. I had just been disfellowshipped. It was just still so hard. Went to a bishop, wanted to start over, wanted to tell him, be up front, and said, this is what's happened, this is who I am, I don't want to be this, I want to be active, I don't want to have these feelings. And all I remember is he looked down at this little membership paper that I had filled out, and he said, you are too old. You cannot be in this ward. So, good luck. Hope you'll have to go to a family ward. So after I had told him everything, he said I couldn't be in that ward.
So you had to go find another bishop.
Yeah. So I didn't. Until I moved to Missouri. So that was a few years later. So I just remained disfellowshipped. I moved to Missouri in 1998, and kind of in between there, my records kind of, they were transferred to Missouri. And I don't know how that works, but I know that there's something on my records that stated that I was disfellowshipped. And the bishop would call me in sometimes and say, how's it going? How are you doing? Do you want to become a full member of the church again? And I would try to avoid that. I would try to, because I didn't want to talk about it. It was too hard. And then a really strange thing happened one of the students that I taught at BYU, her husband's father was my stake president in Missouri. And when he found out that I was his daughter-in-law's American Sign Language teacher that she talked about all the time, and she admired me and thought that I was a great influence in her life, he said, well, we have to get her back in the church. We have to get her back in because we just can't let someone of her caliber go. So they came to my house and he said, we need to bring you back to the church. You need to give up your lifestyle. And in fact, I had the brother that is over all of the disability services in the church also called me and said, when are you gonna give this up so that you can come back, and we need you to translate all these things and to be in these videotapes. So he said, you know, when are you gonna give this up? And I mean, I had phone calls like that, then the stake president, and then it was after he started that process, they wouldn't give up on it. And they kept calling me and saying, you need to come back to the church, you need to come back. And then all of a sudden, I got a call from the stake president. It was a different stake president. And he said, well, it was the clerk, and he said, we need to have you meet with the stake president. And so I went to his office, and I knew what it was for. In my heart, I felt what it was for. And he said, he was very nice. He was the first priesthood holder that talked to me openly about my partner, how I felt. He was a very kind man, and I love him, President Rial. And he just, when I came in, he said, wow, I was expecting to see someone ugly, mean, and that I would not feel the Spirit with. And he said, I feel the Spirit with you. I can't believe that you're the same person that they've described to me. And then he said, you have to choose between the church or your partner. And I said, I can't go back to the church. And he said, then there's nothing else we can do but to excommunicate you. And so I said, okay. And he gave me a hug, and we prayed, and I left. And I thought when I left, I mean, right before I was excommunicated, I read about the Holy Ghost, because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be this person of outer darkness. I'm not going to be able to feel the Spirit. I'm not going to be able to help people. I'm not going to be able to do anything because I don't have the Holy Ghost. And when I left, I felt like I had lost 100 pounds. And it was a very freeing, I'm not really sure how to explain that, except that I guess I just felt I wasn't living a lie anymore. So.